What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Black Primacy TV. I am your host, Ricky Reezy, and today we're going to talk about the coronavirus. But we're not going to talk about the typical stuff that we keep hearing on the news about whose fault it was or where it came from or how many people are infected or even, unfortunately, how many people have passed away from it. Instead, we're going to talk about something that we can actually learn from this pandemic. But I first want to say that I do understand how serious this is for many people, and this video is not to downplay the virus or look down on people who are impacted by it. This video is just intended to shine some light on some of the things we were doing before the virus and encourage us to do things differently once we all get through it. So I want to start out with two terms: financial responsibility and financial independence. I'm not sure if you all know, but there are actually more people impacted by the economic issues due to the shutdown from the virus than the actual virus itself. Almost 6 million Americans lost their jobs in the last few weeks, and almost 3.3 million filed for unemployment just last week alone. And did you know that 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck? That means 78% of the 6 million people who lost their jobs won't even have enough money to last them to their first unemployment paycheck. And even when that unemployment paycheck comes, it likely won't even be enough to replace the income that they had before. This is where financial responsibility comes into the discussion. Financial responsibility refers to the process of managing money and other similar assets in a way that is considered productive and is also in the best interest of the individual. It's a mindset which makes it possible to look beyond the needs of the present so as to provide for the needs of the future. Now, I understand that there are many people who have a valid reason for living paycheck to paycheck, and not everybody's situation is the same. But I also understand that there are many people who do not have a valid reason beyond not having the willpower to live below their means. And like I said before, 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and the economic impact that this coronavirus is having on our country is proving that. So what are some of the things that we can do to be better prepared financially? Not if, but when something happens with our economy in the future? Well, as mentioned before, we can live within our means. That just means not maxing out credit cards, buying things we can't afford, and understanding that just because we can make the payments on something does not mean we can afford it. And many of us who are impacted economically by this coronavirus are starting to understand that those companies still want their money. They may defer it 30, 60, or 90 days, but at the end of the day, they still want to get paid. We should also have a monthly budget, and a monthly budget that we stick to. We should know exactly how much comes in and out of our account each month. And we should understand that a budget is not telling you that you can't spend. It's actually giving you permission to spend and tells you how much you have. Next, we want to save for emergencies. Once we have a budget, we're able to see how much we're able to save every month, and then we can start putting away to try to create a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. This emergency fund is not for anything other than emergencies. So if you lose your job, use your emergency fund. If your car breaks down, use your emergency fund. If you have an unplanned hospital visit, use your emergency fund. Emergency funds are not for wants, they are for needs. And again, it's also important to understand that everybody has different employment situations, and some people may require a smaller emergency fund while others require a larger emergency fund. It may also be a good idea to create multiple sources of income. I know people who have multiple streams of income, and when the coronavirus hit, unfortunately, they lost one stream, but they have other streams of income to help them get through. We live in a time where we can have a side hustle in less than 24 hours with apps like Uber, Lyft, Postmates, and DoorDash. And I know some people look down on some of these jobs, but they could really help you in a time of need. And lastly, we can learn to save for our future. That means learning about ways that you can invest your money, whether it be in 401ks, IRAs, mutual funds, or even real estate. And again, everybody's life situation is different, and some people have more risk tolerance than others. So there is no perfect way to invest, but everybody should do so. We need to create a nest egg for our future. Imagine being in a situation where you have little to no debt, your house is paid for, and you have a bunch of money in your investments when this coronavirus hit. You would likely be able to get through this, and while everybody else is losing their mind, you'd probably be in a place of peace and relaxation. Now that is financial independence. It's the status of having enough income to pay our living expenses for the rest of our lives without having to be employed or dependent on others. And you simply cannot have financial independence without first being financially responsible. I feel like the coronavirus is showing us how dependent our culture is and how unprepared financially we all are. So I feel like this is a good time for us to reflect on some of the things that we were doing before the coronavirus. We should think about that new car we just bought with a $400 or $500 car payment. Or maybe those $500 Yeezys we just bought ourselves for Christmas. Or how about that new designer bag we just bought with our tax money? But if we pay close attention to what's going on right now, we can make better decisions in the future. Don't forget to check the description below for links to articles related to this topic. I'm also going to link a website below with a list of 100 side hustles that you can choose from, as well as some financial advisors that I know personally. And I want to leave us on a quote by the 4th richest man in the world, Warren Buffett. Only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked. Again, my name is Ricky Reezy, and this is Black Primacy TV. I'll see you next time.
Hold up.